Good morning, all my brothers and sisters in Christ. Today we're going to make quiche Lorraine, and I'm going to try something new today. I went to the butcher shop and I got some lard, and that's one of my special ingredients in my rolls. Oops! But I'm going to make a pie crust out of lard, and we're going to make quiche Lorraine. And I'm using a recipe from my McCall's cookbook. If you can find one of these cookbooks, I definitely recommend it. It's one of the best, along with Betty Crocker and Fannie Farmer. And this cookbook I just got, Seminole Cooking, is from University of Florida. I think it was like 1983. Great cookbook too. I used to have tons of cookbooks, but this is what I have left. So today we'll make the quiche Lorraine, and you're gonna go around with me and learn how to make a pie crust from lard. And there's little Teddy. Teddy, would you like to say hi? Teddy's my little companion, help me cook. So quiche Lorraine. So I'm doubling this recipe. I have like 7 dozen eggs I need to use up. So I think I might make these quiches, freeze them, and sell them at the flea market. So what we'll need to start off with, we're going to make the pie shell, and the filling is, for one pie, is 8 slices of bacon, 6 ounces of Swiss cheese, 3 eggs, 1.5 cups of light cream. I'm using half and half, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt, a dash of nutmeg, cayenne, and pepper. Very simple. It's not that hard. So let's get started. Measured out, I've doubled this recipe to make 2 pie crust shells. I put 3 cups of flour and a pinch of salt. I used about 1/4 teaspoon. 1 cup of lard, and then you're going to need about 8 tablespoons approximately of cold water. So we're going to take the lard and try to do one-handed. I've never used lard to cook before, but I am now. I got this at the butcher shop. It was 90 cents a pound, which gave a good container. So it's a nice sized container. I used it in my rolls and they turned out so good. Yum. So I'm gonna put the lard in there along with the flour and the salt, and we're gonna cut it up with a pastry cutter. I had to buy this, but you need tools, the right tools for the right job. So we're gonna cut this up until it resembles like coarse cornmeal. So you, my friends, are going to learn right along with me. So we're just going to cut this lard in. Good, you guys can't see me. I'm still in my pajamas. Huh? This pie crust should be nice and flaky. So I've cut it up so it just has, looks like, I don't know, little grains. Whatever. Didn't tell you, my Uncle Tony, he was a baker before he started working at the Manning Company. He used to make the best sugar cookie, and he didn't over roll the dough, so that's what makes it tough when you use it and then use the scraps. He would only roll the dough out 2 times because he didn't want them to be tough. Everybody knows about my Uncle Tony's sugar cookies. So I'm going to start off with 1 tablespoon. This is calling for like 6 to 8, so I'm going to use 3, 2, 3, 4 to start. And you want to stir this up so it like gets all clumped together and leaves the side of the bowl. So we're going to work that in a little bit. I've used about 8 tablespoons of the water, and what I'm going to do with my hand, I'm going to squeeze it together to see if it sticks together. You don't want it to be too wet. And it all depends on how much water you use. I know my son Christopher, it's water, Mom. I was raised in Baltimore. Wash the dishes in the sink, and then I'll do the winders. So we're going to put this into a ball and cut it in half, and we're going to roll it out. I rolled my dough in a ball and I cut it in half. And don't overwork the dough. My Uncle Tony was just such a gentle, kind man. And, you know, when you're using pastry dough, you just have to be gentle with it. And it'll turn out nice and crispy and flaky. I floured my surface, and to judge how much pie crust, I use my pie pan as a guide. And my grandmother was the one that taught me how to make pie dough. And so we're going to flatten it down, keep it into a ball, and we're going to start rolling from the middle of the ball, and we're going to take the rolling pin and roll up, push down, and roll up. Because if you push down at a steady pace, it's going to stick, and it's going to be thin on the edges, and it won't be even. So that's the way you want to do that. If this is going to work, so I can show you how to do it. So what you're going to do, start in the middle and just press it down lightly. And you go from the middle and out, middle out, middle out, middle out. You just want to press it. And you go up, motion up. This sure is going to be flaky, so we want to, don't press down the edges, just go up, down, and up, down, and up. I did take a few courses in cooking in high school, took all kind of cooking classes, so Mrs. King will be proud of me, and my grandmother. So we're just going to keep rolling till it's large enough to hang over the pie pan a little bit. And we're going to make a scalloped edge. And if it breaks a little bit, just pat it together like that. Doesn't have to be exact in cooking, but just make sure you use love when you cook. And the rolling pin is marble because it keeps the coolness and helps you roll the pie crust out so it doesn't get too soft. Just continue to roll and roll. Nothing is perfect or exact in cooking. And don't be afraid to try new recipes, because every recipe you gotta try it at least once. So I'm gonna try this one out. I write it down in my little book that I keep my recipes in. So if I find a keeper, I keep it. So check it with my pie pan. Looks good. I'm going to fold the dough into quarters. We'll see how this works. If it tears a little bit, it's okay. Fold it. Short on this edge. So if it tears, just push it down with your finger. And we're going to take the extra dough and roll it under. And this piece over here, improvise is the name of the game. Didn't have enough for the edge, but we'll just transfer the excess from over here. Just press it in and fold this under. You have a nice thicker crust so you can make a decorative edge. You hear my dishwasher. I bought 100 mason jars for $10. And 2 of the mason jars were worth $10 a piece, so I'm ahead of the game. I'm looking up some desserts on Pinterest on how to use my mason jars and repurpose them. And I'm going to try my hand at canning. So I get bored very easily. So we're going to take, hope you can see this. I use the thumbprint decorative edge. That's pretty simple. And it's a little thick on one side, it doesn't matter. It's all going to taste good. You don't have to be a perfectionist. You want it to look nice, but don't sweat it when you're cooking. So press all this around. And then take your thumb like this and then press the dough. That. I like this decorative edge. And when you're cooking it, sometimes you have to put foil around the edges because these might dry up a little. It gets brown. You don't want it too brown. And I go through like a couple or 3 or 4 different recipes, and then I like combine them. And one recipe called the bake the shell before you put the quiche in. And that's a good idea because you don't want the crust to be soggy. So there's my decorative edge. I'm going to roll out my other crust, and I'll be right back. I'm preheating my oven to 400, and I'm using a couple different recipes. Recipes. So what I'm going to do is cover these with foil. My grandmother didn't know how to take me because I was awfully like her. She used to call me a little pepper pot. And I would say, look who's calling the kettle black. I think I was 8. So I'm going to preheat the oven. And then I bought like 5 pounds of bacon at the butcher shop. And oh my gosh, I'm like my dad. He used to do this. I individually wrap like 3 pieces at a time so I can just take them out of the freezer and use them. But for each quiche, we're going to need 8 slices of bacon. So I like this skillet. It's really handy. So I'm going to put 16 in because I'm making 2 quiches today. We'll see how it turns out. I think I'll use one as a sample and one as a sample and one to sell. I figure I'm going to sell it for like $12. I don't know how much they're in the grocery store, but the last I checked 20 years ago, they were very expensive. And I use all high quality ingredients in my food. When I was selling my muffins, people were asking me if I made them from scratch. And I used organic eggs, I used butter and onions, and this is the best bacon, Kunzler bacon from Pennsylvania. And actually one of my jobs that I was selling banners, I sold the Kunzlers. I sold them their banners and a couple other things. The man that worked there was really nice. He actually gave me, I was calling on him to sell, and he gave me like 5 tickets one time to Dutch Wonderland. That was like $30 a ticket for my kids. That was really nice. And the way I got that particular job is I went to a little store called Daring Camps, and they had some banners out there, and they were raggedy. So I asked the lady, who handles your banners? These are horrible. She gave me the name of the guy. I called up, made an appointment with him, got quite a lot of business out of him. So I finally got some regular tongs. Here's my view. So pretty here. Let's see what Teddy's up to. He's sleeping, he's taking a little nap, he is. In my chair. Then we're gonna cook up the bacon, drain it, and crumble it. And we're gonna cut up, I use 1 onion for each one. My recipe for McCall's didn't even call for an onion. I got some sweet onions I'd like to use. And then Swiss cheese. A handy little tool I have is this cutter. So when I clean up, I can just clean up easily with that. Just one of the tools that makes it easier to cook, because just like mechanics need their tools to work on engines, we need our tools for our food. I have my bacon cooking, and it smells so good, and it's getting nice and crispy. And save your bacon drippings. When I was a kid, we used to, and even adult, we used to make popcorn and use use bacon grease to cook the popcorn in, and then sprinkle it with Parmesan cheese and oregano. Yum! And you know what? Everything in moderation. I never got fat from eating that popcorn with bacon grease. Everything in moderation, my friends. I've coarsely chopped about 1½ onions. I still have a half left. It just all depends on your taste. And then what I'm going to do, just for a couple minutes, I'm going to saute, and these are sweet onions, in the bacon grease, just a little bit. And then I thought cheese used to come in 8 ounces. Now it looks like 6.67 ounces. I don't know what that's all about. My recipe calls to grate it, but I'm just going to slice it up. I've cut up my cheese in pretty big hunks, and I put in, the recipe calls for 6 eggs, but my eggs were a little small, so I added 7. That's for a double recipe. And I put a little sprinkle of nutmeg and cayenne and black peppercorn. Just whisk that up in a bowl. And see how nice this bacon fries up. It's called Kunzler bacon out of Pennsylvania, Lancaster. To the single people out there, I grew up in a large family, and it's hard for me to cook anything in small portions. So I made a big pot of chili, and I got these little cups at the dollar store. It was like 12 for $1. So I just individually wrapped my chili up there. There's just some of my leftover goodies. And then I individually wrapped this bacon in 3 slices. This checking to see what else. Made Teddy his dog food. He's got his bones, of course. And I used some bones, soup bones in my chili yesterday. Turned out really good. Looks like that bacon's just about done. Oh, comes my pie crust. And I think I'm gonna uncover those and cook them for another about 4 minutes. Let's see how these are looking. And this dough was definitely a keeper dough. It was really easy to work with. Looking good. If there's any like air pockets, just push them down. I kind of mangled this pan. No worries. Just makes it look more authentically homemade. I'm going to put these back for about 3 minutes. Remember, everything doesn't have to be perfect. So, I'm going to do that for about 2 minutes. And let's see what we got going on around here. The bacon looks like it's almost done. It's done. Bacon is done. I'm just gonna, you can crumble it, I'm just gonna coarsely chop it. Save that bacon grease. I used it to flavor, I used the soup bone to get that good bone marrow out in my chili yesterday. It turned out really good. So we're getting ready to assemble. So I'm just going to saute my onions. I poured off like almost all of the bacon grease. These little skillets are handy. I think it was like 20 bucks. It has a little pour spout. So just saute those just for a couple minutes. The extra step really makes a difference. They're looking so good. I reduced my oven. I didn't. 375. And I prepared my pie crust. We're going to put this in and then we're going to fill it up with it's a lot easier that way because they can get, just makes it easier to pour it while it's already in the oven. So, got the beaten egg, the cayenne pepper, the nutmeg, and the pepper. Just gonna pour. Perfect. And paprika. I like to sprinkle it with paprika. Just makes it look a little bit nicer. One time I sprinkled it with the cayenne pepper. It was hot. Now I have some. Let's see. I need to get some good spices. Sometimes I get them at the dollar store, but you get what you pay for. And paprika. Just gonna sprinkle a little on there. Oh, too much. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have much of a flavor to it, so it makes it look pretty. There we go. And the 375. And we're going to check it and make sure the edges of the pie crust are not getting brown. 35 to 40 minutes. These are a little bit smaller pie pans, so I always like time it for like 5 minutes. We'll do 30. We'll do 30 minutes. Oh, 25. We'll check it after 25. 25 minutes. My timer just went off at 25 minutes, but these are still a little bit jiggly. So I'm gonna do another 10 minutes. And the pie crust edges aren't browning, so that's good. So I put that in for another 10 minutes. One of them, a little bit still runny. This one, turn this pan around. One's getting done quicker than the other ones, but they're looking good. We're gonna do another 10 minutes. And with quiche, you can, like the basic egg recipe and the pie crust, you can put just about anything that you have in your refrigerator. Spinach quiche with Swiss is good, with some onion and vegetables. Oh, and I saw a recipe. I'm gonna make sausage and apple quiche. Yum. I'm gonna try that out. I gotta go check one Teddy. See what Teddy's doing. He's ready to come in. There's my sweet little friend. He was sitting in the chair. My quiches have been in the oven for almost 45 minutes. Getting there. Sometimes takes a little bit longer than the recipe calls for. So we're gonna try another 7 minutes. Teddy says, "What you cooking? Does that look good? That smell good, Teddy?" He said, "I want some. I want some." You're so cute. You know how much I love you. I believe these are just about done. Make sure they're not jiggly. Looking good. Thanks for joining me today, my friends. So give it a hand. Try out a new recipe today. And this would be good with like a nice salad. And I want you all to have a great day. God loves you, each and every one of you. And be the reason somebody smiles today. And Teddy says, "We'll talk to you later. We'll see you the next time."